Good Lord. Why was that hard to read?
the ringtone.
Okay. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Becca?
Hey, did I wake you up?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought, where are you?
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The question catches me off, to say the least. Where's she going with this?
The what?
Back in secondary, we joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised.
It did happen. Not a memory I'm fond of, to be the least. Still, a laughter escapes me. No matter how embarrassing it is, that moment is one of the few I can remember clearly in my head. I never did found where she kept those photographs. I'm not correcting that.
Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salem Well right now and...
Thanks, Ash.
What? Suddenly her voice hitches, almost as if she's in tears, and it sends every alarm bell ringing in my head. For better or for worse, something more than wrong is happening on her end of the line. Regardless, I give her the focus she asks me. I don't want to think that she is nearly pleading for me to listen. I'd like to imagine that it isn't horror and a deep underlying resignation that I hear in her voice. I'm transfixed.
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Wait, what are you...
Whatever her words mean, or feelings they carry, ceases to matter in this instant. They're all inconsequential when someone, Rebecca's life, might be in danger. This whole thing isn't just wrong. Wherever she is, something effed up is going on, and I'm here listening to it right now, helpless.
God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A laughter, and then the line drops dead.
Becca? Rebecca!
Dread turns into terror, and the sudden commotion from Isabella's room comes rushing in all at once. Zach's worried whispers, Isabella's anxious pleas, and the television broadcasting some news about a jumper all over the city. There's a split second where I'm torn between trying to figure out where Rebecca is and finding out what happened to inspire such chaos all of a sudden. Then Isabella's horrified scream tears above everything and nothing else matters. Spurred on by a cold gut feeling, I rush back inside, only to bump into Isabella. The impact causes her to stumble back. It takes a whole 2 breaths for her to steady herself. Shaking, she embraces both her hands against my arms, gripping my jacket tightly as if it's the only thing keeping her from breaking. Though even then, there's weakness to her movements, her breathing labored. Any minute, it seems like her knees will suddenly buckle if I don't keep a firm hand on her shoulders. Yet it all shatters when she glances up at me. Tears stream down her cheeks, panicked, desperate. Her voice brimming with anguish when she speaks.
Ash, we need to get out of here. We can still save her.
Save who?
Despite the question, a cold and cruel voice whispers in my head. You're too late. I want to believe it isn't. I hope and wish it isn't who I think it is. Because I don't want to be someone who has been so useless in that exact moment, paralyzed by dread when I heard her speak. I knew something was off. I don't want to think it might have been her final words I'm listening to. But the horrifying possibility that what I dread is real drowns out everything else. Especially with the next words that tumbles out of Isabella's lips.
Ash! Rebecca's! We have to help her! We can't just let her die like that!
Without warning, her knees buckle. Stunned, I've no choice but to go with her. She slumps weakly on the floor, her face sinking into my shoulder as furious tears flow from her eyes. At the sound of her sobs alone, everything around us fades. Every sound, every movement becomes nothing but noise. Even Zach's somber expression doesn't completely register until I glance up at him with a heap of questions in my eyes.
Zach, what does she...
He merely looks away, not to avoid my gaze, but to lead it towards the television still blasting the same news from earlier. A live broadcast. The second my eyes land on the screen, understanding dawns on me. Woman jumps to her death from Luxburn's public library rooftop. Fall from grace. And they're broadcasting her body like that?
Jeez, dude.
I'm useless. Becca. I'll recognize her anywhere. I can make out her form, even from the way the station has blurred out her image on the TV. And for once, that isn't a welcome fact. Too clear. Too vivid. Her broken body lies on the sidewalk in just one big bloody mess. Her hair fans out and stands out in stark contrast to the pavement, slick with blood and redder than it's ever been. The right side of her head has caved in from the impact, and her right arm is twisted and mangled. And there are those words again around her. Help me. Just like the letter.
Medical personnel are on their way. Officers have resumed securing the immediate area for investigation and cleanup.
Gone.
Others have been dispatched for crowd control.
She's gone. And I wasn't able to do a dang thing about it. Even now, I can't do anything other than stare at the tragedy playing out in front of us, and hold on to Isabella like a lifeline as she does with me. Can't even bring myself to move, because no matter what I say or what I do right now, empty words won't bring back the friend we all lost. Numb is an understatement. No, I feel dead inside. We all do. In the end, I can only scream. Oh no. Death notification is a task I avoid like a plague. Although I've known Rebecca since childhood, there are plenty of reasons why I shouldn't be the one breaking the bad news to her parents. One protocol states you're always supposed to do this in person. 2, protocol also states you're supposed to do this with a partner. And 3, I've never been good with words, but here I am, unceremoniously thrusted into the task, all because there's no other one. As expected, everything goes as well as my blunt mouth can take. Mrs. Gale's relentless sobs echo loudly through the receiver when I finish informing them, while all I can say before ending the call is an empty,
I'm really sorry, Mrs. Gales.
Before ending the call with a click and heading back inside Isabella's apartment. Her mom's voice still rings in my ears even as I leave it all in the hallway behind me. Here, though, Isabella's cries have already faded into soft whimpers, and sometime while talking to Rebecca's family, she's fallen asleep. Now she lays still, curled up under her blanket. In the nearby couch, Zack sits silently and simply gives an acknowledging nod when I pass by. Wordlessly, I take the empty space on the edge of the bed. Despite how peaceful this all seems, the gravity of that news has hit us all hard. It's in the dense air now lingering the room. It's in Zack's shoulders while he tries to make himself look smaller against the couch. Most of all, it's in the furrow between Isabella's eyebrows. Gently, I reach out to smooth it out. She reacts with nothing but a sigh, before turning on her back and burying herself further under the sheets. At the same time, Zack also shifts. He leans forward, hands clasped tightly in front of him as a pensive expression comes over his eyes. A long minute passes while he sits like this, before he speaks and glances up at me.
Were you able to tell her family?
Were you able to tell her family? We are you able? Yikes.
Yeah. It was bad. She was their only child, and...
I'm sorry, Ash.
Don't. You did what you could.
I was the stubborn one. I was the one who didn't listen. She kept telling me. If only I'd listened to you. If only I listened to Isabella. She'd probably still be
alive. Becca's the last person I need to account for. Dang it. Zack's here. Isabella's here. Where did it go wrong with her?
What do we do now, Ash?
Unable to offer an answer, I avert my gaze. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them one by one right in front of them. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. She, out of all of us, carry a much deeper attachment with the people she loves, no matter how little time she spent with them. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, surprisingly calm and composed in the face of this, is what suddenly cuts through the thick air.
We can't let that woman, that thing, take more people from us. I'm not going to lose both of you to her.
Her bed creaks, dips when she pushes herself off it, and takes the empty seat next to Zack. Quietly, she begins gathering every paper from BRC and starts laying them out on the table. Once done, she glances briefly at both of us, a sharp, determined one, then gets straight down to business without another pause. With what happened, we have no choice but to follow her lead. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what we found last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zack's encounters with a woman and his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes any sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
Ash, please. Rebecca wouldn't want us to give up on this.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess. Isabella's right on the other point as well. Rebecca would definitely give me an earful herself if she were still here. She had a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We had often clashed at times, yet I still respected her for it. Her opinion was as valuable as every other person I've let into my life. I can't lose another person like that.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Not a good time for a joke, Z-Man.
Sorry.
Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from. Maybe it's just as the professor says.
He did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
But how does the mansion equate into all of this? How does the letter Isabella found does? How does the
letter Isabella found does?
Yeah. How does the letter Isabella found does?
What the frick?
Is that a correct sentence? How does the letter Isabella found does? How does the letter Isabella found does? Okay. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything?
No.
If I am going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than we've initially thought. That stupid paper might be at the heart of this for some reason, and we won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Crap. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere. And I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us like she did with Rebecca. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
Why? It's like, I'm getting tired of waiting. Let's try to end all 3 of their lives right now. Oh gosh.
I wouldn't think it targets multiple at the same time.
Well, we haven't seen it do that. I don't think.
Well, it only targeted Ash and Isabella.
Well, I guess she kind of. Yeah, she's yeah, okay. And whatever. The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh, booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the 2 of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the 3 of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
I don't like the sound of that. At all.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella's unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms. Her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm afraid. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this'll work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they both are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. I glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Zach and Isabella, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave. Adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. The next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. You two, we need to...
Ah!
Oh, great! I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Oh, good lord, why? The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my skull as it collides against the floor. with the force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles. The smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating. Sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears. My eyes snap open. She's the monster under your bed. Perhaps it's just an experience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No. I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instincts kick in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out from her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach, and leading the two of them out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peeks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Looks cheery to me. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly effed up crap being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it.
Ew.
Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Yuck.
Of course, I don't doubt anything can top getting cursed by a dang chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. Frustrates me to no end how we're still nowhere closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. My last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. If Becca was here, she'd give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and how and about how I reek and how I need a shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins and my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory is enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Normally, I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxburn police regulations only allows authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization, but I never really saw the need for its use, when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses too. On a ghost, though, all of those things will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. Might as well use a stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. Doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxburn, normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
Shame for the people looking forward to Halloween night. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale. Breathing in, taking in the peace, as if it'll be my last. But as with all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them. Zach and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salemwell, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us have gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life and death situation the way they're acting now. Easy to forget we've lost someone. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zack tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding, before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Heck, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. Both of them appear to be of the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. I know that's what Rebecca would do. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us gone, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this dang curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
Let's
It's not
split
a...
up.
Huh?
Let's split up.
Let's split up, gang.
Alright, it's time to look for clues.
Who's under the mask? Groundskeeper Willie. Why is it funny?
I wonder why.
I don't know. Why is it funny?
I can't now. I can't watch this. I can't.
No.
My stomach hurts now.
Oh my god. It's like the first thing that popped in my head. Oh
That doesn't help. My stomach, dude.
I'm not doing anything. Everything I've said is done. Anyway. It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty, sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not so pleasant kind of fire.
I think it's clear. We can't just stay here.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Zack. Sooner or later, she'll...
We don't really have a choice, Bella. We can't even go back to our own homes. No matter where we go or hide, she's gonna get us.
You're giving up again.
I ain't! I'm I'm just being realistic. Nowhere's safe. Even if dying's the last thing I want to do right now, I can tell there is no way that woman's...
This is just like your movie all over again.
This and that are two different things, Bella. And you know what? Right now, I'd rather see my movie flop twice over than go through this.
Just because this whole thing doesn't look good doesn't mean there isn't a way out. Zach, I know Rebecca wouldn't...
Rebecca's gone, Bella. And if what happened last night didn't tell you how bad...
I know that! You don't have to keep reminding me. Do you really think I don't blame myself for everything?
Nobody's telling you to think that way!
No, but you might as well just say it. Even if no one else does. I know everyone thinks this is...
All right, that's enough! Both of you, stop this!
They both falter to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between the three of us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when any time, anywhere she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving in to the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more their forte than mine. Keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on my pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite none of them saying it, I know, dang it. They're still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left.